Backstage here at RIFF Fest with Dale from Seether. Good to have you guys again.
Nice to be back, man. Finally, I feel like it's been a while since we've played. You know, we're getting old now, so we don't tour quite
hey, speak for yourself.
quite as hard as we used to. But it's looking forward to playing, man.
No, you guys are here. This is your second RIFF Fest. I think you guys, I want to say 18 or 19, you guys played RIFF Fest with us as well. So it's cool to see you guys come up. I remember. I don't know if you recall this, but one night you guys showed up at a bar, and I was talking about this with Sean, and you guys just went up on stage and jammed 3 songs, and then Proof was there, and Sean and I did shots with Proof, which was a legendary Detroit rapper.
Yeah.
And I know you go to a million cities. I don't expect you to remember that, but it was just a fun time.
But we went through this phase where we used to, there was always drinking involved, but we'd end up at a bar and there'd be a band playing, and we'd start chatting to them and can we get up play a song? And sometimes every now and again they'd be like, no, it's our set, and we're like, all right. But every now and again they'd kind of be excited about it, and we'd get up and play a song and just, we used to be really eager to play, and it's now we're just old and tired. So
I remember one of the songs you played was Gasoline, which is one of my personal favorites. But
thank you.
So the Surface Seems So Far Away is the new record. It just dropped a week ago. So tell me about this record, because this record has there's nothing light on it, is there? No,
it's a pretty heavy album.
And was that by design, or did you guys just realize that at the end?
It's something that just kind of happens. We never really set out to make an album that's gonna sort of sound a certain way. The album ends up how it ends up, and Sean produced this album again, so it almost seems like, if you have an outside producer, it's almost like the label kind of gives them marching orders and says, hey, if they get a little rowdy in studio, kind of pump the brakes a bit. We want those radio...
You're talking about musically.
Yeah, we want those radio songs.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so... But, if we're doing it all in-house, we can get as heavy as we want, as angry, and it's almost like old school garage days.
Yeah. Is this the first time you guys have done it that way?
No, Sean produced the last album as well.
Okay.
And
which I can't pronounce, so I'm glad you guys brought a record out that I can pronounce.
Yeah. Siwis Pacem Parabellum was the last album.
Anyways, I'm sorry, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a fun way to work, It's, no one sort of looking over your shoulder. It's just a kind of a streamlined way of doing things, and I think that's just how we're going to do it from now on. Okay, so when you do it like that, that's interesting. So are you nervous when you give it to the record company, or is this this is it, we're done? How does that, what's that process like? Not really. Our label, they have a lot of faith in us at this point, which is kind of cool, and they just basically let us do what we want to do. Hey, let us know when the album's done, kind of thing, and we'd love to give it a listen. When you're just starting out and you haven't really, I guess, sort of proven yourself, right? The A&R people are kind of all over you a little bit, and there's a lot of back and forth and approval of this and that, and so we had a lot of that, especially with our old label, Wind Up Records. They were always on our case, and it's just, I feel like it kind of breaks the rhythm, and we get frustrated, trying to make the album, and there's all these kind of, not roadblocks, but just all these steps, and you're just kind of walking uphill the whole time. This is just way easier, when they just say, look, we believe in you guys, we trust you're not going to, come back with just a whole bunch of, I don't want to curse, but a whole bunch of bad stuff, bad music, and so they just kind of give us carte blanche, I guess, to do our thing, which is, it's cool. It's nice.
I was going to say, that's got to be probably the way you'd want it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially now at this point in your career, like you said.
Yeah, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to, pay your dues and kind of prove yourself. And we've been doing this now well over 2 decades.
Right.
So it's been a long time. Can't believe we're still doing it. And I can't believe people still kind of seem to care. So that's
the thing. Cool. Yeah, I saw an interview, I think it was with Sean, where he's like, there were bands that we thought were better than us that are no longer around. It's you guys played with.
Yeah, we've weathered a lot of maybe not genres, but a lot of just, kind of movements maybe within the rock genre. When we came over, the rap metal thing was...
Yeah, right, that's right.
Was just kind of taking off, and it was all bands like Limp Bizkit that were huge, and we're kind of doing a bit of a different thing, and then the whole pop punk thing came, and then like the emo thing came after that, and
a little bit of metalcore.
Yeah, and then metal. All these sort of subgenres have sort of gained popularity and then waned a bit, and we're just kind of doing our thing, man. Just little train that could kind of going up the hill, and but it's cool. It's I guess maybe because we didn't pigeonhole ourselves into a certain specific genre or sound. When that sound kind of fell out of favor, or people kind of got tired of it, you weren't lumped in with those bands, and you didn't kind of disappear as the popularity waned. So
yeah, it always reminds me of the Pearl Jam lyric. I've changed by not changing at all. Like sometimes if you just do what you do,
right? The world changes around you.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I don't feel like we've changed really. I think the new music has a maturity to it. I think that we've come a long way from the first couple albums. But again, it's very identifiably us.
Right.
I don't think you're like, who is that? And again, because I don't know, we just kind of do what we do. Just I guess write the music we'd want to listen to.
Now, I hate talking about this, but this is, for all intents and purposes, your pandemic record, correct?
Yeah, well, the last album was...
it came out just as the pandemic kind of struck.
Yeah, we got done with Parabellum.
Yeah, see, easy for you to say.
It's even hard for me. We got done with Parabellum right as the COVID thing started.
So wait a second, you got done recording it.
We got done recording
because they released it like in, I don't know, 21 or something like that,
Well,
right?
and that was the thing, and they're like, look, do you want to sit on it? We're like, no, what's the point in that? We record it, we like people to hear it.
Yeah.
Probably people could use new music now more than ever, and we just said, look, let's just put it out, do a couple lyric videos, whatever. So it kind of sucked to not be able to tour on it. And I think a lot of the themes of the new album, stemmed from that time. I know for Sean especially, just the frustration, in lyrics and vocals and stuff.
When he writes the lyrics and he brings them to you or he sings them or whatever, can you tell that he wrote them at a maybe a dark time or a time like during the pandemic?
Yeah, for sure. He's not one to ever discuss lyrics.
Okay.
Even with us, he's like, well, I don't want to say what it means to me, because then you can always think of that.
So you never know what he's gonna sing.
I think I know.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna make him spell it out if it makes him uncomfortable. But yeah, it's kind of a diary for him and kind of a therapy session. Instead of lying on a couch, with a professional, it's like, hey, I know what's on my mind, what's plaguing me and bothering me. Let me put it in the song and kind of get it out in the ether and off your chest, kind of thing. So it's a therapeutic thing to get that out of your system.
Has he ever put in lyrics where you were kind of shocked by them, not by like the vulgarity, but maybe that he was putting out so much or talking about a certain subject or anything like that? Or like you say, you kind of know.
Yeah, I think I do, or at the very least, I know what it means to me, or how I can apply it to my situation or our situation. But yeah, having gone through all that together, I think we share a lot of the same frustrations. As just being a human being during that time.
Yeah.
And the rug was pulled out under everyone. Everyone had a hard time, and so it wasn't just musician specific, but yeah, when your job is getting in front of big groups of people, and that's all of a sudden like the worst possible thing you can do, you're like, oh great, what now? Like,
right,
is it ever going to go back to normal? Like, what do we do? Like, it's and then it just went on and on and on, and we're like, hey, like, what's going on here? Like, is this really necessary? And so those frustrations were with just the whole, the way it was dealt with.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree with 100%. Initially fine, but once we started
learning more,
figuring this thing out, I feel like it could have been handled slightly differently. But But that's
like I said, I don't even like talking about that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I know it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people, so
I
don't
just
want
want to be finished with it for that. Well, let me ask you this: what's it like to drop a new record? You've dropped many of them. Yeah. So, what is it like? That Friday when that record drops. What's it like for you?
It's exciting. It's still cool. I still love that feeling when you're driving in your car and then the new single comes on the radio for the first time, and it's still exciting. It's still that little adrenaline rush, that energy. It's I still like it. I don't know if that ever gets old.
Do you remember the first time you heard one of your songs on the radio?
Yes, I do. We were in South Africa and we cut these really bad demos with a buddy of ours. Used to do jingles for like radio stations and I don't know, random stuff. And he's like, hey, come to my little studio and I'll record you guys demos. And so we recorded these demos and we were so proud. And then there was a local DJ in South Africa, and we never had a rock station, but he had a rock show on the pop station at like after 10 at night or whatever it was. And he was like, hey man, local bands, bring me your demos. If it's cool, I'll play it on air. And we just turned up at the studio. We're like, dude, this is our demo. Our name's Sarin Gas. And
yeah, what year is this? 99 or
99? I think beginning of 2000.
Okay,
this would have been. And we just handed him our demo, and he dug it. And he played it. He played it on air. Sean and I were driving. We're like, no way. We pulled over. We're like high-fiving. And coolest thing ever. I mean, and the guy's name was Barney Simon, and he was like the one and only rock guy in South Africa. And he was the guy who, for the first time, played Deftones.
Oh, no kidding!
Late night on the radio, we'd stay up and listen to his show, and that's how we learned about Korn and Rage and Deftones. All these bands we, loved. Or became huge fans of. It was all because of him, and he was the first guy to play us. And then after that, we started getting more people at the shows, and
why did you end up
snowballed from there?
Yeah, why did you end up changing your name?
We came over right after. Well, we flew to in 2001. We flew to New York City to meet with Wind Up Records, and they basically signed us. We played a showcase and they signed us. This was like July, so we flew home to tie up loose ends, get ready to come out in January, and basically start recording. And 9/11 happens, and we're like, oh no, okay, what now? So anyway, we went ahead with the plan. Flew out in beginning of 2022, and into New York City. I mean, Rebel's still, the city's still reeling from that, and labels like, you have to change your name because sarin gas was used in a terrorist attack in Japan.
Oh
and,
my God!
Everyone's sensitive, and we're like, okay, we're green. We're like that show, Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that show. That's me and Sean. The big hype, big record label in New York City. We're like, okay, what do we do? We're like, okay, I guess we'll change the name. And they're like, yeah, Anthrax is changing their name. And we're like, okay. Which obviously
so how'd you come up with Seether?
Man.
Did Rick Smith have anything to do with it?
No, we met Rick Smith after this. But picking a band name is like the hardest thing to do because like everything's taken. Everything you can think of, like someone's used it. And I thought of a band name once called Urethra Franklin. And I Googled it. There's a band called Urethra Franklin.
Hits home right here in Motor City, of course,
I'm telling you, everything's taken. And but anyway, we thought of Seether, just from the song.
Right.
From Veruca Salt.
From Veruca Salt,
It's kind of cool. Can't fight the Seether. And we looked it up, hadn't been taken. Like, fine, we'll go with that. One word, short. And we wanted something with an S as well to kind of, after we had to drop sarin gas, we're like, well, maybe let's stay with the S. So we just heard that song and we're like, oh, that's cool.
It's interesting. I never heard that before.
Yeah. So, yeah, Anthrax didn't have to change the name. So in hindsight, we probably could have kept it. I don't think anyone would have cared. So
I never heard the sarin gas used before, but yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, good luck with the record. By the way, the album title. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think it kind of ties in with a lot of the sort of subject matter on the album.
Okay, gotcha.
The surface seems so far. You know, and I've been kind of thinking about it a little bit, and I'm kind of a glass is half full type guy, I think. And I think it could be taken, the surface seems so far, like you're down in a hole, maybe you're fighting depression or, you know, all these negative emotions, you know, going through, like that was all over during the pandemic, man. Depression, suicides, all that stuff. The surface seems so far. But then you look at the album cover and she's kind of made it, you know.
She's getting there, yeah.
I mean, her nose is under a bit, but so it's like the surface seems so far, but you can get there if you know, if you focus on the right sort of things and stay strong, and so it can be taken one of two ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Depending on your outlook, you know, if you're negative, it's half empty. If you're full, she's at the surface. So,
well,
you know, I don't know.
Good luck with the record, man, and thanks so much for playing RIFF Fest with us here again.
Yeah, man, it's nice to be back
for this year.
Thanks
Dale from Seether here, backstage at RIFF Fest. I appreciate you.